discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now I got you, Commissioner.
Yeah, now the chairman can recess it and say.
Well, we have to.
to do.
We got public comment on agenda, public comment, and then we'll, go from there.
Right.
Public comment,
Anybody else? Public comment?
yes, Mr. Jones.
Hi, name's William Jones. I just have basically a general comment, specifically for those in law enforcement type field, whether it's COs or your cops on the streets and so forth, everybody in between. One of the things that I personally get involved in is what I call accountability, not just here, but across the country. I've had discussions with chiefs of police of various departments across the country. When I hear stories about misconduct, violence, etc., committed by officers. And one of the things that I try to stress is that I understand that there are good officers out there, whether it's here or other places across the country. However, if bad officers, and this goes towards management of the prisons and management in police departments, sheriff's departments, etc., if you allow bad officers to fester in your department, that makes the good officers bad as well. And second, it makes their tough job even tougher. When you have cases where, like I'll give you an example. It was several months ago, but I spoke with the chief of police of the San Antonio Police Department concerning one of his officers who was finally arrested for raping a 19-year-old woman. Picked her up on a traffic stop and then took her someplace and raped her. And my argument is that this was not an isolated incident. He had to have been coddled along the way. So he didn't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to do this. So that tells me that other people knew about his actions. And then it just got to the point where he couldn't be protected anymore. Now, this makes those officers that who do try to do a good job, who are honorable, it puts them in a bad position with the public. So therefore, that's why I always use the statement, it makes a tough job even tougher. So I acknowledge that you guys have a tough job, but if you're not going to weed out those who are doing a bad job, doing a disservice to the uniform, then, and that goes towards leadership, okay? It's from the top down. So when you have an officer that who tries to file a complaint against a fellow officer who's breaking rules or breaking the law, and nothing is done, except that the officer who made the complaint is now all of a sudden harassed or threatened, and that's poor leadership. So that's when I go to the top. And that's why when I hear stories, I go straight to either the chiefs of police or the sheriff, things like that, people like that, and ask these questions. Why are you allowing this to happen? It's making a tough job even tougher. And it's making those who are trying to do a good job try to follow the rules, and enforce the rules if you're in the corrections business. It makes them tougher, and then it gets to the point where those good officers start turning a blind eye because they're the ones going to get harassed instead of going to the bosses and say, you need to take a look at this guy. He's doing A, B, and C. But instead of that being investigated, where it gets back to that bad officer that so-and-so turned this person in, next thing you know, that the reporting officer is the one who's getting harassed, threatened, and so forth. So you turn a blind eye to everything that's going on. Then once you do that, you get enough officers turning a blind eye, then you have
What we have here.
what we have here, precisely. And that is a leadership issue. I I served 9 years in the military, so I know what I'm talking about. And when you see bad versus good, and I've been in situations where, I've gone to a CO or a commanding officer about one of my fellow NCOs who doing things I should not be doing. But let's just put it that way. And I've been in situations where that was immediately taken care of, and I've also been in situations where the opposite occurred. But I'm too stubborn, to let that ride. But I just want to get it across to the board that you have to look at management. And if the day comes where we do get a new prison, whether it's this one through fives or whatever the case may be, you have to clean house from top down. Okay, that's the point I'm trying to make. And I know that those in leadership may not like it, or what. That's I can care less if they don't like it. It just means that they're not doing their job. They're not running their respective organizations the way it needs to be run. And they're turning a blind eye to the bad that's going on. And turning a blind eye to the bad is making the good officers who are trying to do a good job, it's making their job harder. And it puts them in danger. The danger that was expressed in that one Facebook page, I'm convinced that it was caused by a bad officer who put a good officer probably in danger. I'm convinced of that. So that's just one point. Clean house from the top.
Thank you.
I just have one follow-up question for Dom is, what's the situation, Dom? What are you gonna do? Because weren't you at a meeting with your boss, John Felice, to fill these 5 full-time officer positions back in, what was that, May? March? No. It was, I believe, our president, Bernie Hamborski, you, John Felice, and he told you back then to look into it and fix it. We're asking for 5 full-time positions that need filled, 6 with the resignation of Crystal Jacobs.
Yeah, the full-time vacancies that are within the 43 bids, the intention is to fill those positions as soon as possible. We're going to have to continue to work on interviewing candidates and recommending.
What do you mean interviewing candidates? We have 25 part-time officers that can be filled in positions.
Right, so they're interested in full-time.
Right, yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
I'll take that.
No, they're just vacant spots that have never been filled.
We're in okay now.
We're paying working out. I mean, every now and then it's gonna come to a point where you're gonna have like another extra officer or 2 on shift. But at that point in time, you just need to do a shakedown or something that could be done that you don't always have to do.
There's work to do.
We have vacancies, work them out, people overtime, and fill them. Let's interview people, get more part-time people. I think we've been pretty lenient with the amount of people that you can hire. We should have any vacancies. I know for a fact, even though it's 15 years, we work 16, 18 hours a day. You know it yourself. And when you start working overtime, you're tired, you're not paying attention. Either you're going to get hurt, or you're going to get somebody else hurt. We have, positions there, we have people filling this can fill. Anybody else?
No, you just have to fill in the blanks.
I mean,
You have to fill in the blanks about recess.
we call recess to the executive session, no decisions being made. We're going to call a special meeting, I believe, Friday.
No, we're gonna recess this meeting. This meeting will stand in recess until
Friday at 10 o'clock.
Friday at
This Friday. At 10 o'clock, we will resume, will the meeting be here or?
It will be at the commissioner's office. We've satisfied the obligation, have we not, Warden?
Probably advertised too. Okay, so we'll have a special prison. We're going to go recess this meeting, continue Friday, 10 o'clock, Fayette County Commissioner's office in the courthouse. And we'll resume.
Open to the public.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's extension of this meeting.
Oh,
It's just removing it.
This is returning to the recess. Start over in a few minutes. Okay, thank you.